I would like to begin with an interesting fact that few Americans know, and that is that 50% of America's landmass lies beneath the sea. Despite this fact, we have better maps of Mars and the far side of the moon than half of our own country. I believe every classroom in America should have a detailed map of our country on its walls that shows all of our great country, not just the half that pokes up above sea level. Fortunately, Congress created the Office of Ocean Exploration within NOAA in 2004, but only recently has Congress begun giving that office the resources needed to map and characterize that 50% of our country. Clearly, Congress needs to ensure that program is fully funded, which is not presently happening. When it comes to the many ocean-shot proposals that were submitted to this subcommittee, I found a glaring absence of innovative ideas, including the use of telepresence technologies and autonomous vehicles, including uncrewed surface ships, for future ocean exploration and research. The Department of Defense and private industry are much farther down this road than the oceanographic community, with DARPA's Sea Hunter and Ocean Infinity's Armada surface ships, as well as uncrewed containerized ships that will soon be coming online. Clearly, the oceanographic community needs to be thinking about when their first uncrewed oceanographic research ship heads out to sea. But sadly, they're not even thinking about such ships for the UNO's fleet. Last year, during the height of the pandemic, our ship of exploration, the EV Nautilus, put to sea when many other research ships did not. Thankfully, we'd already implemented the use of telepresence, which does not require the science team to be at sea. Telepresence is clearly a major step in the direction of future uncrewed research ships, and this year we'll begin moving the operational team ashore as well. When it comes to the blue economy, I believe the most important thing we need to focus on is feeding the growing population of the world. Noted Harvard sociobiologist E.O. Wilson warns us that there's a limit to how many people the world's farmlands can feed, even if all humans were vegetarians, and that limit is 10.5 billion people. According to the latest projections, we reach that number by the year 2050. This crisis could come even sooner than 2050, since we're using up so much farmland to house our growing population. And just last week, China encouraged its people to increase the number of children in their families by 50%, which this curve does not include. For the human race to survive, we need to move away from being a hunter-gatherer society at sea, and like we did on land over 2,000 years ago, become farming and herding at sea. To do this, we need to accelerate open ocean aquaculture in the tropics, where there are few fish living there naturally. We need to convert carnivores to herbivores and feed them sea-based plants instead of land-based plants. Their cages would be fully submerged, far from land, in deep water, and managed by autonomous vehicle systems. When it comes to how we increase the engagement of underrepresented minorities in ocean science and technology, we need to start very early in their lives. Aquariums engage toddlers in the wonderment of the underwater world. We begin in middle school to engage all American children in live, interactive exploration in all possible venues. And equally important, we believe our core of exploration, which is now exploring the unknown America, has all the faces of our country in its ranks to serve as role models and mentors for the next generation. When it comes to involving more Native Americans and Hispanics in ocean exploration and technology, I would focus on their early history in America. We now know that Native Americans and many members of the Hispanic communities in our country today can trace their origins to the migration of humans across the land bridge called Beringia that formed some 22,000 years ago when vast glaciers covered the world's landmass, lowering sea level some 125 meters or 410 feet below its present level. As a result, there are vast areas of the U.S. continental shelf that were once occupied by the ancestors of today's Native Americans and many Hispanics living in our country today. Clearly, there should be more efforts to explore this ancient landscape, with Native Americans and Hispanic scientists and engineers leading the way.